G'day legends. So today we're going to mix a complete song and we're just going to be using Logic Pro X with the stock plugins, not going to use any additional plugins whatsoever. And I have an array of them. I love my plugins. I've got Waves, I've got UAD, Plugin Alliance, oh my goodness, Fab Filter, Oak Sound. I have so many and I love them. But I'm going to limit myself to just using Logic Pro stock plugins. And we can get a professional sounding mix just with that. So I'm going to show you how to do it and we're going to have a bit of fun together. So starting off, we're going to import the files. We're going to just go through and do a bit of preparation, which is step one. And just so you know, I've provided the verse and the chorus of the files, so not the whole song, but I've provided a section of those files on the info box below that you can download. You can import those and practice mixing in your own DAW. So whether that be Logic, if it is Logic, you'd be able to mimic what it is that I'm doing, and or if it's not Logic, you'd be able to apply the same principles to your DAW. As part of the preparation, what I would suggest that you do is familiarize yourself with the song. So whilst you're going through and setting up, if you've got a version of the song that the producer might have sent to you, I would go through, listen to the song, and just start making mental notes and anything that you want to see. You can jot it down on a piece of paper. I'll show you a place in Logic, which is really cool, where I make a lot of notes. Just while you're familiarizing yourself with the song, you might have written the song, look, but if you didn't write the song, you may not know the song that well, and you've been tasked to mix it, and that is so cool. And if that's the case, and great if you've written the song as well, that's brilliant. Separating the writing process, the producing process, and the mixing process is critical. So regardless of how you've got these stems, in the process of setting up, it's just really cool to go through and familiarize yourself with it, make some notes. Having reference songs is also paramount for you getting better as a mixing engineer. So I encourage you to listen to the song that you're working on. Let's say it's this song, then go into Spotify, find a few songs that you really like that you think, oh wow, this song was mixed by either this person or similar to that, this would sound epic. Then I want you to go through and if you can just A/B the song as you go through. So we've gone through, we've got a couple of reference songs. Due to copyright reasons, I won't be able to play any reference songs in this recording. So like I said, just go through and do this by yourself and you'll be able to go from there. Find a few songs that really work or are suited, and then you can mimic or try and copy the sounds that you're hearing. We're going to import the stems here on the desktop into a Logic Pro session. If you're getting the files from another producer, you'll want to check what the basic parameters are. For example, the tempo, the sample rate, even the key would be beneficial, especially if you're going to touch up the vocals with tuning. And ask for the stems to be bounced out at 24-bit WAV files or higher. Okay, so we'll go through. I'm going to open up Logic. As Logic's opening, I know the parameters of the songs. For me, the tempo is 86 beats a minute. We've got a 44.1 sample rate, and we're going to set the buffer size to a high buffer size. I'll show you how to do all that in a sec. And just wait for Logic to open here. And won't be a sec. There it is. Okay, so we've got musical grids fine to have here. We're going to just set our parameters here. So tempo, we could tap tempo. We're not going to do that. I'm not sure of the key. It doesn't matter for this. I've got my input and my output device the way I want it. I have 44.1. I normally record at 48, but I did this like 28 years ago. Well, it wasn't that long ago, but in about 2016 or 2015, I recorded it at 44.1. And we are good. We got, yeah, we're all good there. So we'll just go choose, and that'll open up a basic session. We'll open up a audio track. And before we do anything, we'll just go through file and we're going to save it as, so it's ready to just, we can continually Apple S along the way. So I'll go into my mixing in Logic Pro. We're going to call this mixing in Logic Pro stock just so I've got something there. We call it put it in a folder, and audio files is fine. I go yes. Okay, so we are now, we're getting there. We're nearly ready to import the files. We can see our tempo up here. We can see our time signature. And we've got a couple of ways that we can import the files. We can either go to this browser window. We can open that by pushing just the key command F. And guys, can I just interject here and tell you how important key commands are? They speed up your process, your workflow. It makes life so much quicker. And we're spending a bit of time in the prep stage because when we're being creative, we don't want to think like we just want to do. Okay, so we're going to set up the parameters here, and I encourage you to practice this for the next 7, 10 days, 14 days. Just literally import the files that I've provided and go through and practice this. Set it up, set it up, set it up. Go through, set it up and mix, set it up and mix, set it up and mix. And you're going to get experience. You're going to get better as you go through and do it. So, like I said, key commands, they're vital. I can open up the browser window by selecting F. I can import the files here by going add file, another key command, okay, if I wanted to use it. And I can locate where those files are, documents, and I'd go to the desktop. And here, whoops, where is it? Desktop, and it might be, here we go. So, so I can go through and then I can select here. I can select one and then go Apple A, that'll select them all. I could add them, go done, and that will import all the files here. Once all those files are imported, I could go through and just say select Apple A, which will be select all, and then I can click and I could drag them over here and I can go create new tracks and then go okay. I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to go Apple Z to get rid of that. I can open up the folder where all the files are and I can click and drag all the files either directly onto the arrange page and or into the browser window like such. It's going to go through, it's going to add the files. If you're in a different sample rate, it'll ask you which one's right, the session, or do you want us to convert the files? So have a think about that before you do it. And then I could, again, open up the browser window. I could close these and I could then select all and drag up, or I could just go Apple A, we'll select all, and I can drag and drop them onto the window, the arrange page window. But before I do any of that, I'll show you what happens if I drag one of the stems over here, and I'll go, I won't import this just to start with, but if I import this here, you can see I get a really long name, love most ak gitser capo _1. Now, you might go, oh, that's great. But look, if I try and read this down in the mixer window, I opened up the mixer, by the way, by using X. That is really hard to read. So I'm going to delete that. Okay, so we have our stems in the project window. What I want to do now is go through and think about how I like to work with stems. I'm very visual, and like I said, having a good creative flow is paramount to achieving a good mix. So I like to start with my drums, my bass, or drums, percussion, bass, and then I like to have my pianos, my guitars, maybe some strings, and then vocals, lead vocals, then backing vocals. That's how I just usually have every session set up. You can change this so it works for you, but I encourage you that in whatever measure you do it the same way every time you open your session. So for example, if you put your kick over on channel 1 and there's 48 stems, then you know your kick's channel 1. It's going to be on the left of the screen. If your kicks and your drums are always the way over here, or they're all modeled up, it's gonna hinder you in your creativity process and in your mixing process. Okay, so I'm going to just spend a minute here. You'll see me do this. You probably won't hear anything. Go get yourself a tea. I'm going to move all of these stems to where I would see them, and then when I drag and drop them, they'll be in order to how I want them. So here, acoustic guitars. Now when I go through and I import the stems onto the arrange page, or I move them onto the arrange page here, it's going to put them in the order that I've selected over in the browser window, which is really cool. So create new tracks, They are all from the one project. I'll say, okay, create new regions. I'm going to import the markers. So the marker, this project was recorded in Logic, like I said, back in about 2016-ish. And I also then created a new project in around 2020 just to bounce out the stems. So I have the markers. So I'll import those. But if you didn't have the markers, I'll show you how to set up markers as well. So import. It's going to go through and do that now. Everything should line up because our tempo is right, our sample rate is right. And let's just play a little bit of the track, and I will just turn everything down just to start with. And before I push play, because it will probably peak if I don't do that. You know what to say. Perfect. We have sound coming through. Now, before I go through and start being creative, we are going to label our channel or our tracks. So just going to call these, I abbreviate all the names just so you know. So kick is KIK, snare is SN, hats will just be hats, tom is tom, etc. So I'll go through and do that. You can do it on your version as you set up your template, or it's not really a template, but as you set up your Logic session, and we will reconvene in just a second. Okay, just note here on the piano electric, it is, obviously it's a little bit too long, the name, because it's, I could still tell that would be piano electric, but, oh, I've spelt it wrong. But it's a little hard to look at, so I might just abbreviate that a bit more. It could just be piano E, or it could be E piano, or it could be PN elec, and I might just call it PN elec. I'll know what that is. Okay, so I have all my stems set up. It looks a lot neater down here. I don't need the browser window open anymore, so I'll close that. And I will just grab the end of the song. I don't need it over at bar 150. I'll just move it here. So it doesn't really need to go out. Now when I maximize or lengthen the screen, it'll go out to the end of where the end of the project is here. So for example, if I set this over at 126, and then if I'm using my my key commands to if I'm using my key commands to enhance the screen, okay, so to either make it longer or shorter, it'll show you till the very end of where this this window is. So if I make it over at bar 76, and then I go and make the screen wider, it'll take it to bar 76, and that just puts all the files into the one place, which I like. Okay, so we're pretty much ready to have a listen to the song. If I had a reference mix, I would go through and reference mix. I might put that here, reference mix, and I would just put it on mute and then solo it every time I wanted to listen to it. Okay, so we'll just check a few other parameters as we're going through. So we've gone through, we've done quite a bit of work. We're just going to Apple S, which is Apple Save as we're going. Guys, just we're going to listen to the song for a second and make some notes. I'm loving those days. My head's up in space. What I love most is you, and all those little things you do. You know what to say when the time is right. You're what I love most in life. There are a couple of places you can make notes. The project will make project notes, so that'll be accessible wherever whatever channel you're on or whatever track you're on. You could just go to project and you'll see all the project notes. But if, for example, you can make specific notes for the reference mix, so for whatever track is down here, whatever channel's down there. So I would say, let's say for example, if I had a reference mix, I might go really like the levels. Okay, so for example, I might say in the reference mix, I really like the levels or the balance. So I could make a note here like overall balance and panning of instruments. Now that will be specific for the track. It won't be over the whole project. It could be just over that. It could be like if it was a kick, it could be needs. We could be specific here on the track and say needs some muddiness taken out of the kick. There's just certain things that you'll be able to put. So the track, you can make notes. Project, you can make notes. I like making them in project unless it's very specific for the track itself and it only applies to that track. All right. Now, we're still not ready to mix. We're very close. Okay, so I want to go through, we just want to tidy up this this arrangement here and also the mixer window. You can get to the mixer window pushing X and or by going up to the window mixer up here, and we could go open mixer, which is Apple II. So we'll provide a different way of getting there. This is good if you've opening up the mixer window. If you've got a couple of screens, you could open up this mixer and then you could just move that over onto another screen. I don't have another screen at the moment, so it's just the one screen that I'm working with, and I feel pretty good. It is a wide screen, and I don't really feel like I've got any limitations. So I use X a lot of the time because I get to see the arrange page, and I love that. All right, so we can use this reference mix. Okay, so I've called it original mix. We'll go through and we'll tidy up this part of our mixer or our arrange page. So it's just a bit easier to navigate without accidentally pushing things. I think I did something before. I accidentally pushed record. Novice. No, I'm joking. So to get into where we can change these parameters, if you just push control and then push here, like click on the grayed out part of the box, it'll say track header components, and then we can choose what we want. So I don't really need record enable or input enable, so I'll turn that off and go back in there, input enable, and let's have a look what else we got. Mute solo is fine, pan volume, yeah, that's good. Control surface bars, it's okay. Track numbers is okay. I don't mind seeing how many tracks I got. Track color bars is cool. That'll sort of make it quite color coordinated. I like that, so I'm going to turn that on. And track alternatives, no, I don't need that. Track icons, I like the track icons. So guys, if you click option X, that'll open up your channel strip configuration for both audio and MIDI, and you can choose any of the parameters here that you want or you don't want. So I showed you how to put notes in, but you could also do it here. You can change your spacing on your lines. You can try a different bunch of these presets that you want to try. Your input, your MIDI effects, etc. I'm happy with those, so I'll just leave them the way they are, but just so you know where that is. Okay, so another thing that we can do at the moment, most of these are showing the icon. You get to this icon window by just clicking I, and under here it says track, you'll have an icon. And if I click on that, I'll be able to change these to match up with what the instruments are. Again, making for an easier navigation and a quicker mix. So I'm going to, these ones that are gray will apply the color that's already on part of that channel. And I like that. So, or I could use some of these specific ones over here, or you can import your own, but we're not going to worry about that. So I'll just go here, I'll go kick, and I'll do the same thing with the snare and hats. Yep, cool. Okay, etc. Now you can see when I'm if I was navigating that, just makes it really quick. Like kick, you got a simple to easy read name kick, and you know that's the kick track, okay, with the icon. So it's really, really good. I'll go through and just do that now. You don't have to worry, you won't see me do it, but it will be done when you come back. Okay, so the channel names have been labeled. We've got icons that match it. It's in a systematic order, which is really, really important and really good. And that correlates to our mixer window, so it's easy to navigate. You can see I did choose some of these other icons over here. So it'll just have CB, which is cello bass or violin. Acoustic guitar looks a little bit different to the acoustic guitar that would be the channel. It doesn't matter really. It's just whatever you can look at quickly and go, that's an acoustic guitar. So I'm happy with that. I just want to go through and tidy up this mixer window here. Then we're ready to gain stage and get into our mix. Okay, so over here under view, we've got channel strip components, and under this I can actually set some of the parameters that I want or don't want. I don't want audio device controls, I don't need that, so I'm going to turn that off. That tidies it up straight away. Channel strip components, I do want notes, then I'll be able to make specific notes for the channel. Now, did you see before, I actually made a note over here that was specific for the track. But look, it's come over here into this note section, which is so cool. Love Logic. So, so that's really, really good. So you can double click in here if I wanted to, for example, and say, give it an edge or whatever it might be. Give it a bite. Whatever I decided to do, it could be specific for compression. It could be specific for anything. Now you can see there under that track, it says give it a bite, but it's not in the project. So I'll delete that. But that's where you can just double click and then add notes in here. For example, lead vocal. I did here before, I wanted to go to 11.7.6 style compression into an LA 2A or an opto. So I'll just put opto. And that'll just, bad spelling. So I can double click in here and change the note. That will just remind me, I'll go done, and it's changed it in there. So that'll just remind me that, oh yeah, I wanted to use a little bit of compression from the 76 into an opto compressor, as opposed to just using one compressor, you know, mainly. That's what I was hearing. Could be wrong, may not work, but I've got the note to remind myself. So that's really important. Okay, so we've done a bit of work. We're going to go Apple S, save, and we will take that off. We don't need that. Before we do anything else, we're just going to quickly customize our control bar, which is this window here, and anything we don't need we'll get rid of. So let's have a look here. Master volume's fine, metronome clicks okay. We don't need a count in. We don't really need the tuner. We don't need low latency. Pre-fade metering's fine. Auto punch we don't need. Performance meter, yes. The time signature is fine with the division. The tempo's okay. Locators, left, right, yep. Positions, good. Any of these that you want, you can check. And anything you don't want, like I'm not recording. I don't need record and I don't need capture record. But I want to keep cycle. I don't need Apple loops. I'm not adding anything. I don't need the list editor. I don't need, you know, so I'll just go through and just choose what I want and what I don't want. Don't really need the library. Okay, perfect. I can keep the inspector window open here. I like that. If I took that off, then I can't really, you know, mix over here. So, and I like the ability to do that. So I'll leave that on. And we'll just go, if I need to change this at all throughout the process, I can come back and customize that again. Here, your project may be set up to beats and projects. If you need to, you can just select custom and it'll actually make it bigger. So for example, we're going to beats and projects and it just limits the information that we're getting, but I want to get custom and let's say I might want to get the open a giant beats display. Oh, that's cool. Because now I can, if I wanted that, I may not need it, right? But if I wanted that, then I might be able to, oh yeah, bar 42. It's so much easier to see that for me than it is to see this and or this here to go, that's bar 42. So I might leave that there. Oh, bar 30, yeah. Okay, so I could make a note, bar 30, bring the piano up or put a tail reverb on the vocal, etc. So we are ready to gain stage and set our mix up. There's a lot of prep there, a lot of thought behind it. In realistic terms, it would probably take you 5 minutes, but because I'm explaining the process, 5 to 10 minutes, and the more you do it, the quicker it would get. because I'm explaining the process, takes a little bit longer. And it's worth investing in this because this is your foundation, okay? As is the gain staging. So we'll do that next.